That's Jim O'Rear's Wacky World.
Ladies and gentlemen, gather round, because it's time to talk about the rock stars of ghost hunting, the king and queen of the paranormal, the original demon-busting dynamic duo themselves, Ed and Lorraine Warren. Yes, those two lovable weirdos who claim to be the Sherlock Holmes and Watson of the supernatural, except with more crucifixes and fewer working brain cells. But were they legit, or were they a couple of the biggest frauds in the paranormal community? Well, in this video, we're going to be examining just a few of the things that don't quite add up about the Warrens and their investigations. Why are we talking about them again? Well, buckle up, because the cursed Raggedy Ann doll they called Annabelle is back on tour across the US like she's Taylor Swift with yarn hair. And if that's not enough nightmare fuel, comedian Matt Rife just bought their house and museum. That's right, Matt Rife, the guy who sells out comedy shows by talking about his jawline, is now the legal guardian of Ed and Lorraine's dusty collection of Dollar Tree demon artifacts. Nothing says haunted history like a Netflix special where Matt Rife gets jump scared by a rocking chair. But let's roll back the clock. Ed Warren was a self-proclaimed demonologist. Translation: guy who read a couple of Bible verses and watched too much Twilight Zone. Lorraine Warren claimed to be a clairvoyant and a light trance medium, which I assume is like a diet psychic. 0 calories, 0 evidence. Together, in 1952, they founded the New England Society for Psychic Research. They bragged about investigating over 10,000 cases. 10,000! Really? Are you sure about that? Let's do the math. That's one haunting every single day for 27 years straight. No weekends, no holidays, no sick days. And that's while Ed worked as a bus driver. Lorraine raised a child. They both wrote books, made talk show appearances, ran a museum, and occasionally fought werewolf demons. And some of these cases supposedly took weeks or months. Somehow, they had time to investigate more ghosts than Scooby-Doo's entire career. Honestly, I can't even keep track of my own laundry. How did these two keep up with the forces of hell? It smells fishy. And speaking of hell, let's talk about the big one, Amityville. You know, the haunted house that launched 1,000 book deals. The Warrens were name-dropped in Jay Anson's 1977 bestseller and were the first to investigate the case. Only problem is, the story is about as real as a Kardashian's lips. Just a few inconsistencies. The Lutz family claimed they saw hoof prints in the snow, except, tiny detail, according to weather reports, there was no snow on the ground at the time. They said doors were smashed to pieces, but oops, the original locks and knobs are still intact. They said they called the police, but oops again, no police report exists. That's just a few things. But the cherry on top, the family lawyer admitted the whole thing was cooked up over a bottle of wine with the Warrens, Anson, and the Lutzes. Ghosts didn't haunt Amityville. The IRS did. And it doesn't stop there. Skeptics from the New England Skeptical Society once toured the Warrens' so-called Occult Museum. They paid $13, because apparently the afterlife charges admission, and concluded the artifacts were just ordinary junk with a scary story attached. Dolls, trinkets, masks, you name it. It's like a spirit Halloween outlet store run by your overly religious grandma. The skeptics called it all blarney. Lorraine's defense? Well, they don't believe in God. Oh, I'm sorry, Lorraine. If I don't believe in Santa Claus, am I disqualified for pointing out the mall Santa smells like gin? And let's not forget their greatest hits. The Conjuring case. The Perron family claimed it was real, but the new owner of the house said, yeah, no, total fiction. Also, please stop trespassing on my lawn. The Enfield Poltergeist. The family got caught faking evidence, and witnesses say the Warrens showed up uninvited, hung around for a day, then bailed like a couple of paranormal wedding crashers. The Haunting in Connecticut? A family with addiction problems told conflicting stories. The author recanted the book, and the upstairs neighbor reported 0 hauntings. I even spent a weekend with Carmen Snedeker, the mother of the family in the story that it's about, and trust me, I've had scarier nights at a Motel 6. And then there's Annabelle, the doll so scary it inspired movies, tours, and merch. Only problem? Her story was basically ripped from a Twilight Zone episode called Living Doll, which aired 7 years before the Warrens even met her. So apparently, Annabelle isn't haunted. She's just syndicated. And don't even get me started on their scientific evidence. They claim to have video proof of a ghost called the White Lady at Union Cemetery. Did they release it? Nope. They only let skeptics watch it at their house. And surprise, it was grainy footage of a white blur moving behind tombstones. You know, like every Bigfoot and UFO video ever. The only thing scarier than the ghost was their refusal to let anyone actually test the footage. Sorry, you can't analyze this, it's too spooky. Right, that's exactly how science works. And I personally investigated with some of the Warrens' relatives, and I can say firsthand that their evidence collecting was shoddy and questionable. Nothing that would hold up under scrutiny. And their museum, their precious museum, it's got a vampire coffin, a satanic idol, and allegedly demon-possessed toys. But here's my problem. You're telling me you can bag and tag a vampire's coffin, but couldn't get a single Polaroid of the vampire himself? Did the vampire refuse to sign a release form? And what about the werewolf that they were involved with? No photo of him either? Nope. Now, to be fair, the Warrens weren't murderers, scammers in the Bernie Madoff sense, or cult leaders demanding your life savings. They were just theatrical. They spun stories, sold books, collected royalties, and turned their ghost hobby into a Hollywood empire. And honestly, respect for that. They're basically the P.T. Barnum of hauntings. The ghost may not be real, but the hustle definitely was. But behind the curtain, the cracks showed. Families recanted, skeptics debunked, their evidence was laughable, and their stories got juicier only when book deals appeared. And let's not ignore the darker allegations against Ed's personal life that they specifically banned from being portrayed in the Conjuring movies. Even in death, they wanted to control the narrative. So yes, in many people's opinions, the Warrens were frauds. Maybe not malicious frauds, but frauds nonetheless. And now, in the ultimate plot twist, their legacy is in the hands of Matt Rife. Folks, if you had Annabelle's become a prop in a TikTok thirst trap on your 2025 bingo card, congratulations, you win. So what do we do with all this? Simple. We enjoy The Conjuring, Amityville, and other movies based on their cases for what they are. Fun horror flicks based on fiction. We laugh at the Warrens' ridiculous claims. We admire the hustle. And maybe, just maybe, when Annabelle comes to a city near you, we fork over $40 and get a selfie. Because, honestly, haunted or not, still she's more entertaining than most influencers. So alright folks, that's all for today's deep dive into the wonderful world of Ed and Lorraine Warren, ghost hustlers extraordinaire. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below telling me what you think. Were the Warrens brilliant con artists, or just a couple of people who got way too into Halloween? So I'll see you next time.
He's got news and some flair with sarcasm so sharp it'll part your hair. Blink like cry, then scream why. Love the dip chivalry's wacky world. That's a UFO made of PVC. A werewolf and Denny's just sipping tea. You roast your grandma for stealing a sign. Then hug a ghost dog, it's rescue time. His new